Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stevenson, the Odd Man. He'll unpack wisdom and insights from a cross-section of top quality performers in business, media, sports, entertainment, and lifestyle to uncover key elements to help you live your best audacious life ever. So without further ado, here is the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations. I'm Audley Stevenson, and this is the most audacious podcast on the web. That's right. You got locked into the Audacious Living Podcast, and it's a pleasure as always to be here as we continue our goal of helping you live your best audacious life ever. Our social media channels are just one of the great ways you can connect with us, and I encourage you to like, follow, subscribe, and share. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can catch up to speed in all things of the world of the audacious living. Again, that's just a great way to stay connected. Now, this is a really special episode for me from a personal standpoint because our guest is someone who I've known for a very, very long time. And thanks to the magical world of social media, we were able to reconnect, and it's just been a joy to get caught up. Her name is Soraiya Bodhi, and Soraiya and I met back in the summer of 2001, and I was working for the federal government at the time, and I had managed and operate a series of summer employment offices geared to assist students in finding summer work. So we hired students as staff to work in the office. So the concept really was students helping students, and Soraiya was one of those individuals that I had hired at that time, and that's kind of what our connection was. I super loved working with her back then. I thought she was pleasant, had great positive energy. She was friendly, good-natured, and just a real joy to be around. And that's one of the reasons why it was such a treat for me to reconnect with her after all these years and get caught up. And to see the person she's developed into has been really, really special. She's a mother now, a writer, and she's made it her life's journey to spread love and light to as many people as possible. I'm just really proud of her growth. Proud of that she came to that point of realization to be able to give back to others in this way. And the big thing, and you'll hear from Soraiya, she'll talk about it, that she was able to do so because she listened to her inner voice. Now, here's the thing. We all have that quiet whisper that speaks to us. And I can tell you that whisper, that voice, it's always there. But oftentimes we get so caught up in the motions and the busyness of life that we don't hear it. And it's unfortunate because it's guiding, it's directing, it really wants the best for us. And what's blocking us from being able to hear that, again, like the business of life, and we're just not tuned into the right frequency so we can actually hear that voice. But I assure you, it's always there, but more importantly, it wants the best for us. So it's our best interest to listen to that inner voice. I had such an uplifting conversation with Soraiya. We talked about life, we talked about light, we talked about love, and it's something that I think you all are really, really going to enjoy. It was such a great chat. So I think this is a point where I stop talking and give you an opportunity to hear from Soraiya herself. Enjoy. You know it is your parent. I'm not telling you.
Yeah. I'm a mama too.
So how old are yours?
3 and 8 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's a busy time, but it's just like, especially during the lockdown and everything that's going on, you just realize what a blessing they are. Like they have joy no matter what. They wake up joyful, they're smiling, they're in alignment, right? They've just come from the light. That's how I feel. And so it is a real blessing to be a mom and to be in the space with them right now and to have that time with them like never before, right? So.
Oh my goodness, it has been 20 years.
It has, yeah. No, I just remember like you guys hired me on as one of the people on the team, and it was just such a great experience. So I just want to thank you for extending that olive branch. And, I think when you're at 21 years old, there's people that give you that opportunity and those chances, right? And you are one of those individuals. And I think that really helped shape my career going forward and my confidence, because I don't think, I had that much confidence at that time.
Well, and that's part of the reason why I'm looking at you, and you seem like a totally different person.
Oh,
so it's even from double confidence, you could sense that you weren't fully, like, you were always kind of hesitant at times, and is this okay? I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that, but even now you're like a different person, which is amazing.
Yes, there's just so much that has happened in the last 20 years that has just shaped my inner landscape, I think. And that's from that perspective, when you've got that inner anchor, it just completely transforms the outside, right? So
amazing. So look, first off, I already pressed record like 10 minutes ago because I.
Oh, okay. No, that's totally fine. I just wanted to catch up. I wanted to catch it naturally, right?
Absolutely, but you're right. It's been such a long time. It really makes sense. And like I said, for me, I'm just really, really happy to see where you're at, to see how you've developed into the person who, quite frankly, you're meant to be. I think we're all supposed to be someone, and the path we sort of take to get there is our own. And for some, it's a journey. And others, the path, and whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, it's that, that process of getting to where we're supposed to be. So, which is very in line with the podcast, right? Because the podcast is really about being your bold, audacious self, and I think oftentimes there's a misconception where people think audacious means, well, you're this out there kind of person, and that's just not what entirely is. At least that's not my definition of it, right? It's just really being who you are meant to be. So for some, they see it as the bold thing. Okay, sure. But, still be you. That's really the bottom line.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's why somehow we've come back into each other's lives, maybe at this point, because you're doing this podcast, and that's completely the journey I am. Is the message is you are the light which you seek. And it's really the light within yourself that is the guiding force to take you on the path of your soul's brightest path. And it's not going to be the same as every single person is individual and different, right? And so finding that place and finding that space is a true gift.
That's right.
And so I feel like at this point, I've found that inner calling and that desire to serve in a different capacity. And so it's just amazing to be here. So thanks for the chance to share this in hopes of inspiring others to that path as well.
Now, did this happen for you when you became a mom, or before that, or when because you're gonna have to help me fill in the gaps here, right? Because it's been a while.
Yes.
So it's great to see this, but when did it start? When did it happen? Like, what, let me know.
Absolutely. So maybe I just give you a little bit of background of what I've been doing over the last 20 years, since it's been so long. So, after
you were in HR, you were working in
yes, I'm still working in HR. I've been working in human resources for 17 years now, and it definitely is a field of passion. I've always enjoyed it. And I've always enjoyed the service element of helping others to really shine their brightest light at work. And over the last 20 years, I've worked in many different industries: automotive, healthcare, global cosmetics, as well as insurance. And I've had an opportunity to travel. I've traveled to 20 different countries and 3 continents. So I've had a really great opportunities there. I lived abroad for a bit when I did my MBA in international business in Edinburgh, which was a fabulous experience. And, really this recent journey inward, I don't think that it just started. I think that since I was born, my family, my traditions was very much about spirituality. And so, the journey inward has been on and off throughout my life. And I call it the dance of consciousness. So remembering and forgetting. And so throughout my life and throughout the challenges I faced, and I think that's been the biggest learning for me, is the challenges I faced. No formal education, I think, could have taught me that. That's what's helped me to find this illumination within. So over the last 20 years, I've had many different experiences. I've, had 5 car accidents. I had a near-death experience. I had a close friend of mine that passed away from cancer. I was with her when she passed. I had a head injury when my son was 9 months, and an injury. And and then of course going through the journey of motherhood as well is an awakening in itself. And so I've had many different challenges along the path. And I think that during those challenges, like I said, it's been the dance of consciousness. I'd get these little kind of slivers from my soul that would say, hey, follow this path. This whispers from my soul, follow this path. But I think that with life, I was just going I felt like spiritually asleep in a sense. I was just going through the motions, the busyness of life. And I think unknowingly, I didn't fully hear the voice of my soul until probably in the last year and a half. Where I really,
that voice is always there. It's always
it always is there.
And it's whether we're in tune with it or not, whether we're in that frequency. But I'm telling you, the voice has always been there waiting for you to listen.
Agreed. And I've got these different messages along my life's path. It's not like my soul hasn't spoken to me, but I think in the last year and a half, it's now fully speaking to me. And I shouldn't say speaking, it's always been there. It's more that I'm fully listening now and I'm hearing it, right? And I'm in the frequency, like you said, to be able to channel those messages. So yeah, it's been a really interesting journey. I feel like my life is like a chandelier, an inner chandelier. So I've in some moments unknowingly dimmed my light. In other moments, I've illuminated my life. But now I've come to this point where I broke open fully to my light. And now I'm creating from this space. And it's just opened up a whole new world for me. Writing, especially, like I'm working on 2 books right now that have just been purely channeled from source, from universe, whatever you connect to, if it's God, universe, source. And I feel like I'm not actually writing these books. I feel like I'm the pen and divine is the ink. And I'm just channeling these messages of love that are meant to be shared with others.
Does it feel like they're almost writing themselves?
It does. Yeah. I write, and I've been writing since the age of 10, actually. So I've been meditating since the age of 10, and I would write for fun. I didn't really think anything of it. I never thought of writing a book. And then more recently, in the last year and a half, I've been meditating and channeling these messages. And I'll go back and read it and think, oh my gosh, did I write that? And I know I didn't, because I know it came from a higher force. And I know that that's why I've been called upon this route and this book writing journey, to somehow light the spark in others, to remind them that they are the light which they seek. And within themselves is this well of love and this well of peace that we all can dip into, that we all have access to. It's just about going inward. And I think, our society, the things that we experience often teach us to look outside ourselves. So when you met me when I was 21 and I was questioning and I didn't know, I was looking outside myself for all the answers, and it took me a long time to really trust that inner place of light and connect the dots that this light is part of this higher power.
That's right.
Which is limitless, which is infinite, which can give me all the answers to any unanswered questions in my life. And so that's why I feel I'm here on this planet, is to help light the spark in others and help them on their journey to finding themselves and their own truth.
Amazing. I love it. It brings me so much joy to hear you speak and talk about your experience. And as we sort of talked about some of those life-changing experiences that you had, so much about perspective, because in the moment they can be seen as these really horrific and bad things, and not to minimize them and suggest that, for example, the loss of a friend wasn't, because it is a terrible thing. But at the same time, it's experiences such as those that you can also draw from, and you can take.
Agreed.
And you take those experiences and you take those feelings, and even if at the very least, you can take what you experience and perhaps share with someone else who's going through a similar kind of experience. There's value in that. So as you were talking about your experience, that's sort of the first thing that came to mind, because I think we should embrace everything that comes our way. And I've always been that guy. I'll figure it out. Like, okay, this happened. Let me figure it out. And just be accepting of it, right? As opposed to pushing or being resentful or dumping any negative energy to it, right? It's just, we've got to take the opposite approach.
Agreed. Yeah, I feel like it's all part of the journey to, creating this light that gets brighter and brighter and brighter. It's like you have this diamond inside of you, and it's got this cover over it with the different challenges that you have, but the challenges are actually there to help you see that light and the strength of your light that's in you. And so I don't remember who said this, but pain to me is paying attention inward. I remember reading that. I think it's a Yanla. She said something like that. And that really stuck with me, that, wow, yes, pain is brought to our lives to pay attention inward, to go further inward, to find that place, and to know that no matter what storms are there, if we are anchored within our light and within ourselves, we can truly navigate anything. And you know, the death of my friend and the near-death experience, all of these things just really helped me value and savor the moment of life. I remember what kept coming to me is life starts with breath and life ends with breath. So make every single breath count. And I think right now with COVID, it's been, you know, a reset, a collective reset for the whole of humanity, to see how connected we are, to really value and embrace those beauties that we have in our life, those small miracles, those small joys, and really to reevaluate. Are we here living our best life? If today was the last day of our lives, would it truly be in alignment with what we feel is connected to our soul? You know, are we doing that journey inward where we can hear what that is? And I know for many of us before COVID, it was just go, 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 going through the motion of life, right? The busyness of life. And so this has been really a forced reset of consciousness, which I believe was orchestrated once again by divine, to help us to further our soul's journey. It was all part of our path.
Well, and as much as, again, so we're talking about experience that are, you know, negative or positive, or how they're viewed, right?
Yeah.
And so many will view COVID as a bad thing, and absolutely, it's been terrible to so many people.
Of course, yeah.
First reset is what you talked about. I mean, you know, even this podcast, this was as a result of COVID. Was something that, you know, so you know, in my basketball world, I still very much work in sports, and it's a very big part of who I am and what I do and what I identify with. And when everything stopped, that stopped too. And what it instantly did is it created a void. And I actually went through sort of like a mild depression, because I felt like, I'm like, what's going on here? I don't have this thing that I love. You know, like, what's happened and why do I feel this way? And I was feeling lethargic and not really want to do anything. And I didn't connect the fact that this thing that I love was taken away. And it was just through conversation with a couple of friends, and it sort of spilled out that way. And that's when I came to the realization. And so when I did, I was like, okay. So what now can I do? What is it that I can focus my energies on? What other things are important to me? And when I sort of look back over my whole sort of professional career, you know, I've always in some way, shape, or form been in this motivational space. I've always believed in people, wanting to inspire people, wanting to bring the best out of people, wanting to share. I've always been a natural communicator. I'm not telling you anything that you haven't experienced or don't know.
Yeah, no, I just
have always existed within me. And so I started to think about, okay, so what does it look like? And as I was going through the sort of process, hey, let's do a podcast. And I know exactly what it could be about. And, you know, fast forward, and here we are. And it's been such a blessing to me. The conversations have just been so wonderful. And I can tell you, I mean, you know, even this conversation, I know when I walk away from it, I'm going to leave enlightened. I'm going to feel good. And so I feel good all the time now, because I'm having great conversations with wonderful people all the time. And as much as it's been great for me, it enables me the opportunity to share with others. So going back to your point of opening up and radiating, sharing your life with others, it's very much the same thing for me.
I love what you've done. Like you've redefined, right? You were in a situation where you had to really redefine where you were at and find something else that sparked joy in your soul and your heart. Right. And you're following that calling. You're following that voice that came to you that said, you know, hey, maybe try this. Right. And I feel like that's how our soul speaks to us, is in those subtle ways, in those whispers. And it's following those breadcrumbs of joy that lead to more greatness, more love. And you know, I don't know how it is for you, but for the many things that I'm working on, I don't have the full picture of the end result. I think nobody does, right? But I know as I follow the callings of my soul, I just feel more and more liberation and more joy and more peace. And it's something that I haven't felt in this way before the last year and a half. I think I was going more from the head space, from the ego space, rather than the consciousness space.
Sure.
And so, of course, like you said, it's not without emotion. We all have the fears inside us. We all have, the doubts inside us. That's, ego's still there, right? Which is that inner critic. It's still there. But as you follow the callings of your soul and continually let that to be what it is, it's almost like you move past that fear and you've come across this net waiting for you, which is love. Which is more love, which is more illumination, which is more creation, which is your show, right? What you're doing, right? You're connecting with others. That's lifting you to this new place of being.
So you talk about fear and self-doubt as an example.
Yeah.
So when I came to it, and I'll also back up, I've been podcasting for a very, very long time. I think I started my very first podcast in 2007.
Wow.
That ran for 4 or 5 years. I stopped that. I got into something else. I did some work in the leadership realm. So I had a podcast around leadership. I did that for a little while. I had other podcasts where it was old school hip hop, and that was really cool because I grew up listening to old school hip hop.
I love old school hip hop.
I got to talk to artists and all these guys I used to jump up and down and get excited about. So that brought me some joy as well. So and the point to all this is that the podcasting world is not new to me. It's something that I'm very comfortable in and I enjoy. So, but what was interestingly enough is that when I made the decision, I said, I'm going to do this podcast. It's an Audacious Living Podcast. That's what it's going to be called. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be, and I had it all framed out in my head. It's going to be about, here's the conversations I want to have, and here's the focus, and here's how we're going to do it. Immediately after I sort of went through that, the very first thought I had is, but there's a lot of podcasts out there already. Why are you going to do another one? You're just going to be another, clutter in the space. Why even bother? And that self-doubt sort of creeped in. And I remember pushing back going, I've got my own voice. It doesn't matter how many are out there. I still have my voice. My voice is unique. And my voice is different than anyone else's. So of course I'm going to go out there and do my thing. So
good for you.
It's real. You talk about the fear and self-doubt. It absolutely is real. For someone who's been podcasting as long as I have to, and I'm still questioning myself, it's a real thing.
It is. Yeah. And I think what's cool is that you recognize, right, the difference between the ego and the soul, like the voices, right? I think that's been a big part of my own awakening, is just being a witness, a witness to my thoughts and which thoughts am I going to follow? Which are ego-based and which are more led by soul. And the ones that are led by soul are in alignment with love. And the ones led by ego are more those loveless thoughts. And so I think, I don't personally believe in being fearless. I think that you feel the fear and you do it anyway.
Right, fear is good, right? You hear people talk before I've heard artists talk before they go on stage, they have knots in their bellies. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I think you lean into that still, regardless of if it's there or not.
Exactly. Don't let it stop you. Just feel the fear and do it anyway, right? And listen to that voice and know that that's leading you to the path that's already etched in your soul. So if it's in your heart, I believe it's already etched in your soul. It's already there. It's just waiting for you to claim it. And so I'm just so grateful that I'm in a space that I can hear it in this full extent. And now I can just claim what is meant for me to serve. And I don't know if you feel this way, but when I feel in alignment with my soul, I feel like the calling is greater than my own self. It's a calling to serve humanity. It's a calling to help others lift and shine and rise. And so that's what just feels so amazing about it, is that it's in alignment with that higher force, that higher light that does want to see all of us shine. And there's enough for all the love in that. There's enough for it to go around for all of us.
Sunshine.
And so, yes, exactly. The sunshine does not discriminate. It's there for everybody to take upon it, right? So it just feels really great to be at this point in my life. And I can't wait to help others to get to that place. That's the first thing that actually came to my mind when I had that inner awakening is, okay, I need to now help others to get to this place too. So it doesn't take them as long perhaps to go on the journey that I did. But as you said, everyone has their own path and they may not be ready for it as well.
That's right.
Right. So.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So you talked about writing the children's books as an example. Is that what the focus is? Or are there other things that you're involved with that you're busy? Besides,
yeah. So I mean, obviously I've got a couple kiddos that I'm juggling, but right now I've got 2 books on the go. I have this, like, I've written a life mission statement where I think that I'm going to channel countless books. But the first books that are coming right now is Motherhood Diaries. It's a book that is on self-love. And helping moms really to go inward and fill their inner cup so that they are illuminated, they are full, and they are serving from overflow. And they can pour that into their children, this love, this peace, this compassion, so that they can light the spark in their children to do the same, to stand in their light. So it's all about illuminating moms, their children, and then the planet at large, because, I really believe moms are an extension of God, our extension of the universe. The love that they have, that pure love that they have within them, is huge. And I think as well in motherhood, I think a lot of us put ourselves last. We've just been taught to put ourselves last in service of others. But I really feel we need to do the opposite. We need to put ourselves first so that we can better serve our children to be the full light that they are by leading the way ourselves. So this book is 10 mothers coming together, sharing our personal journeys and stories of different hardships that we've faced on motherhood, and how that has led us to self-love and self-care, and how important that is. And it's a coffee table book, which has different expressions, poems, letters, affirmations, quotes, and things like that. So we really believe it's going to help so many moms on their path. We wish we had this when we were moms. We are still moms, I should say. But when we were first-time moms, or as we were journeying even as second-time moms, that we had this book. So that's coming out May 1st on Amazon globally. And my second book is Love is Your Origin. So that book is...
I want to comment on that first before you get into
Yes, yeah, please. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's an important one, because mothers generally, and you made that point, are generally giving to everyone else except for themselves. And when they get to themselves, it's sometimes at a point of exhaustion or fatigue or no energy at all.
Oh yeah.
Self-care, self-love goes out the window. So I think if there's an opportunity to share experiences so that other mothers can understand and recognize the importance of it, it's phenomenal. It's no different if you're on a plane and they say, hey, in the case of emergency, the oxygen mask come down, put it on yourself first before you tend to your child. That's hard for a lot of mothers to do, right? They want for their children first.
I agree. It's almost like a reset, right? I see self-love as oxygen for our soul. It's like when I was a first-time mom and I was going through the motions and I was completely depleting myself and not putting any time there. Yes, I felt genuinely I was giving everything from my heart, the full love that I could at that moment. But now that I've journeyed inward and I'm doing more self-love, more self-care, I realize, wow, I have even more love to give, even more patience and compassion. And I think that's made me a better mom. So self-love, one of the things we say in the book is self-love is the portal to your inner brilliance. It is there when you take that time for pause, for introspection, for time to yourself, to really redefine yourself and find your new purpose. And I think as a mom, you birth children, but you also birth a whole new role and a whole new person. Like, I don't know if you've experienced that with your partner, but it's like, it's a whole reset in life. You see things completely differently. Absolutely. And so you feel lost. I don't know if your partner feels this way or has felt this way, but I know for myself, I felt lost. I felt like I lost my identity in the mothering. And so it's such a joyful experience. And then it's a challenging experience too, because you're not sleeping. You don't have a lot of time to yourself. So yeah, I think second time around, just taking that moment for pause and self-love has made it so much easier in many respects to be the mom that I want to be for my kids.
Gotcha. And what was the name of the title of the book?
It's called Motherhood Diaries.
Motherhood Diaries. Oh wow. Okay. That is certainly got my attention. I think it's a really important message. And
thank you.
Absolutely. Oh, well, the second book. My goodness, 2 books on the go.
Oh my God. Well, so the Motherhood Diaries book was not even in my purview. I didn't even actually anticipate writing that book. I was actually It is. Love is Your Origin has been on the works for the last 8 years. I was actually supposed to publish it in March. And then Motherhood Diaries got channeled to me, I believe, as a divine assignment from angels to say, actually, this is a more emergent message.
Okay.
Team up with the moms that came to me end of December. And we're publishing in May. And now Love is Your Origin is the next one coming up in the fall. And that's all about my life experiences and what challenges I faced and, what spiritual lessons I've learned from that. And really, it's all about returning to the origin of what you are, which is an epitome of love. And at the core of it all, as you deepen the search inward and as you become illuminated, you realize that the more you can align to this place of love, the more you can create this beautiful channeled guidance and soul aligned path to your destiny and how you're meant to show up in the world. And so this book is all about that, really lighting the sparks in others, reminding them that they are the light which they seek, and that no matter what challenges they face, if they are anchored in this light which is within them, they will be able to navigate it all. That their light is truly brighter than any darkness in this world. So it's a book of hope, it's a book of illumination, and it's a book of inspiration to help others on their journey inward.
Sounds a little like your memoirs too, a little bit. It's your life experiences. Include that in there.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a vulnerable place to be, right? You're sharing your life experiences, and you're sharing those moments. And I like you said, I think others can see a piece of themselves in you, and if I can just help even a few people on their journey to come to a realization of what they can do within themselves to brighten that light, or to heal a part of themselves, or to look at it in a different light, then my life is complete. My life has served a purpose for helping others on their path.
Yeah, no. I think that your message of light is a very strong one and a necessary one. You look across kind of what's happening in the world and in general, and there's chaos and confusion.
Yeah.
Mistrust and all sorts of the political world is a whole other animal that's things happening there.
Of course, yeah.
It's just a very, very difficult time, and and then you add to that a pandemic at the same time, right? So you have all these things that we're trying to manage, and we're not doing a really good job of it collectively.
It's a really tough time. I think there's a lot of different pieces that people are grieving, in many different ways. And so I just feel like if I can add light to the world and, love to the world in some way in a time that's very difficult, then that's an honor and a privilege to do that from divine space. And so, yeah, I just see my life as an instrument of love, as a vessel of love, where I can just spread that to as many people as I can to help them through this time and to help them even after this time on their journey to becoming who they are.
Sure. So you're writing. Is there anything else that you're doing that's keeping you? Are you speaking? Are you counseling? Are you coaching? I mean, the world is yours now. My goodness.
You know what? The world is my oyster at this point, right? So I'm on maternity leave right now. I've just been, juggling the babies and writing these books, and I love being on podcasts. I love sharing my voice. I love speaking. So I'm open to all of that. I'm open to sharing in as many ways as I can, because I feel like I have this deep calling and this deep need to share. And so I'm just, as I said before, I'm following the breadcrumbs of joy. I'm following my soul's path. And it's just taking me to all these different places that I never imagined. So talk to me in a few months and we'll see where I'm at. I'll see what I'm doing at that point.
I won't doubt for a second that you'll have a bunch of other things on the go, because that's really what it is. And the part I love about it, and I speak from my experience, is that it'll hit you and you just go. And you don't look back, and you just go. And then all of a sudden, when you take that moment for pause, you're like, I really came a long way. Like, wow, I came a long way. And it's a great feeling, first off, because you've got this sense of accomplishment. But then it really makes you like, okay, there's progress here. I'm moving in that right direction. So when it hits, it's hard and fast.
It is. And I think, what's beautiful about you is that you're listening to it and you're acting upon it. So a lot of people, again, get into the doubt phase, right? So I think that if you can just listen to that voice, that subtle voice of love, and have the courage to follow it. That's when the greatness follows. And I think that's when the downloads come faster from there. It's almost like it goes lightning speed, right? So yeah, I'm just following the journey. I'm just following the callings as they've come. They've been coming to me when I was pregnant, even before that. And even as my daughter was born, 2 months in the rocking chair, and this download comes, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to trust this infinite source of wisdom and just follow it and see where it leads me. So here I am right now, and we'll see where I go from here. Right. So
Soraiya, it's a great place to be. And I absolutely love it. I'm so glad that we reconnected. It's so wonderful to see where you're at. It's funny, like to me, like, I mean, I look where I'm at, and to me, it's like, I'm supposed to be here. Like, there's no one that looks at where I'm at now and goes, oh, didn't see that one coming, right? Like, I'm supposed to be here. And I feel like, okay, I pushed to where I need to be. And I sort of have that feeling with you now, hearing sort of the fact that you've sort of gone through your experiences, and now, you're listening as much as I have been. So it's so wonderful to hear. So wonderful to hear.
I just think that what you're creating is awesome. So keep going, keep shining your light. I'm enjoying, it's coming up in my feed. I see what you're creating. And I think it's beautiful. We need more of this light, and to join hands in creating this light around the universe, around the planet right now, to really lift the collective consciousness out of the space of darkness into the light. So keep shining your bright light. And thank you for just giving me a chance to be here to share my message with others.
And so if people wanted to connect with you or find out more about your writings, where can they go? How can they do so?
For sure. So I have an Instagram account called @FullSoulPotential1111. They can definitely follow me there. And that's where I have a lot of my writing. As well, I have my Facebook account. It's under my author name, Soraiya Bodhi, Bodhi. And maybe you can also include it in your caption, and I can send that to you, because I know it might be hard for people to spell. But yeah, follow me there. I'd love to see more of you. If you have any questions, if I can inspire you on your path in any way, my heart would feel so blessed to have that opportunity to do that. So.
Wow. Soraiya, this has been so amazing. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Inspired by you. It's just wonderful. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. And keep shining, man. Keep shining that light.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Audley. It's been a pleasure.
All right, take care.
Take care of yourself. Okay, bye.
Back we are here on the podcast, and I first off really want to thank Soraiya for being on the program with us. I can't say enough how much of a pleasure it was to reconnect with her. And again, I talked earlier about the growth and development I see in her. It's just so awesome. That radiating light is just beaming from her. And again, it was great to see. A lot of times it's our experiences that really help shape and form us, and they clearly have with her. And it's for this reason, Soraiya has been able to shine that inner chandelier that she spoke of. So again, thank you for being here. Keep up all the great work, and we'll connect again. We won't wait 20 years next time, that I promise you. Hey, listen, if you haven't registered for email notification of the podcast, you can do so by heading over to my site, bestaudaciouslife.com, and simply enter your email address, and you'll be immediately alerted every time new content comes out. Thanks as always to our listeners. I appreciate you being here. Always love the tremendous support, and keep it moving, and I'll keep doing what we do. And again, I show my appreciation and thanks to each and every one of you. It's the end of the episode, so as we say, or at the end of every episode, we say goodbye. So until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by Audacious Stevenson. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be audacious.